Hey y'all. Hi, it's Dr. Shamanda. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things mental health, personal finance, and overall strategies to live your best life. I don't know why I feel good today. You know what I'm saying? I've been asleep all day. I ain't even gonna hold you. I needed some rest, y'all. But anyway, welcome back. Welcome. If you're new here, I am a licensed mental health and addictions therapist based in North Carolina. I'm also a financial therapist candidate, certified financial therapist candidate. And I specialize with helping women, millennial women specifically, that are high achieving, executives, business owners, creatives, professionals, whatever, right? Helping them heal their relationship with money and other things like codependency, burnout, if they're dealing with some type of life transition, anything like that. Check out my website and you can see what I really do. And I am obsessed with personal finance, y'all. Specifically, the intersection between money and mental health. I love it. I've been in this field for almost 20 years. And working in mental health, behavioral health, addictions, and I just love this. So I wanted to do a 28-day money education challenge where I talk about a topic related to money and mental health, and we are on day 25. Y'all, can you believe it? First of all, I've been showing up every day, so y'all better make sure you go watch all these videos. Go binge watch them today. Anyway, so today's topic is about generational wealth. And I thought, I definitely need to hit on this topic. Specifically because my daughter turns 18. She's my baby. She turns 18 this weekend, got one. And my son is 19. So officially I will have two young adults, And I thought, let me talk about generational wealth. Because I think we misunderstand what generational wealth really is. And we need to really look at what that might look like, okay? Now, everybody says they want generational wealth, but do they really know what it takes to obtain generational wealth? And and what they need to do on a day-to-day, or month-to-month, or year-to-year basis to make this happen. So let's talk about this. So, the misunderstanding about generational wealth is that they think it's just money being passed down. That's just the basic idea of what generational wealth is, but it's really financial education, right? It's having in financial literacy, right? Having an understanding of what finances look like, taxes, budgets, income, expenses, assets, investments, like having a basic understanding of what that looks like. Also, emotional stability, right? And why does that matter? Because if you're going to build generational wealth, you have to be able to not make rash decisions. You're going to have to be able to practice delayed gratification. If you are a first generation millionaire, you have to be able to say, okay, I'm not going to go out here and just splurge and buy all these things because I'm new money and I want to show it off. You have to be able to say, you know what? I do want to get X, Y, and Z. I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to put things in place to actually obtain these things so that I can have money that will still grow and I can pass down, okay? It's also having understanding what ownership is about, right? Being a homeowner, owning investments, owning businesses, right? Owning any type of asset. So you have to have an understanding of ownership, and then having long-term discipline, right? Knowing that this is not like a sprint, right? It's a marathon. I think that's the two different, yeah. Anyway, right? Like you're playing the long game. Seriously, right? Like, so you're gonna have to be disciplined over a long time, right? You can't. It's not like, oh, I'm about to go hard for these next 24 months. Now you have to go hard for the next 30 years, right? Because you're building wealth, but you also want to sustain that wealth. You want to be able to pass it down. So if you go hard for 30 years and all of a sudden you get to retirement age and you just spend all your money, what's the use, right? Okay, so we don't just inherit money, we also inherit a mindset, right? And so let's talk about why some families actually get stuck when it comes to generational wealth. It's not necessarily the laziness or like this crazy thinking or lack of information sometimes, well, that's part of it. But sometimes it's because the people in the next generation, for example, let's say my children, right? If I wasn't thinking about generational wealth and I was passing on these negative traits, then this would impact my ability to actually, operate in generational wealth. So, for example, scarcity thinking. I had to really work on scarcity thinking because I was a young single mom, and I was raised by a young single mom, and she was raised in a family by a mom who had 8 children, and it was a whole thing of generation after generation. So that scarcity thinking, if you pass that down, it can definitely limit the next generation's ability to really think about wealth and assets, right, and investing. Also, financial anxiety, that's another big one, right? Feeling anxious, feeling nervous and scared about when it comes to money. Scared to actually invest your money. Scared to start a business because, it might fail. What if it fails? Like, I need to keep this job because X, Y, and Z instead of starting a family business, right? There's a lot of things that go there. Poor money habits, that's a huge one, right? If you don't know how to actually budget your money, know how to save, know how to invest your money, how to make your money grow, how to give, so that it actually comes back to you in multiple ways, right? So those poor money habits can definitely be something that you could pass down. And I would say having a consumption mindset over investments. So you're getting all this money is coming, but instead of keeping it and investing it, you're actually just like spending it instead of like obtaining assets and things that you can own, like businesses, right? Okay. So let's talk about what actually builds wealth, right? I talked about it was already ownership, whether it's a business, whether it's real estate, whether that's equity, whether that's, I think I said investments already. Just having ownership of stuff, right? Like for me, I feel so good in who I am already as a woman and as a mother who operates out of generational wealth mindset because I own my own business. I actually own 2 businesses. I have my own movie out, and I have a book. I have multiple things that literally pass down to my children, literally. So that's ownership. Investing before we upgrade our lifestyle, right? So focusing on investing instead of getting all this money and then like, I'm about to go buy a Bentley. I'm about to go buy this huge house that other than the equity, like it's just for looks, right? You're not thinking long term. Like if I got a huge mansion, I already think about how I'm going to use that. Like, yeah, I'm going to live in it, but I'm also going to like rent it out for like weddings and like events and stuff. I'm going to make it make money. It's going to be making me some money. Trust. This house right here that I live in now will be a real estate property, investment property in the near future, right? And so things like that. Long-term planning, thinking long-term. The number one issue when it comes to generational wealth is that we don't teach the next generation, which is the next one on my list, right? We don't teach them about money. So guess what? I think there's a statistic that shows that by the 3rd generation, the wealth is gone. And that makes a lot of sense, right? So like, for example, me, then there's my kids, and then my grandchildren. If I don't teach my children how to manage money, and then they don't teach their children how to manage money, then by the time my grandchildren get the assets, they're gone. They're selling it off. They're trying to live lavish. They're trying to like show off, and they'll sell those assets instead of building on that and keeping it going. So again, teaching the next generation is a huge factor. That's probably the most important piece of this. And then emotional regulation around money, knowing how to hold money, right? How to hold space for it, how to feel good with money and not feeling like, I got all this money. What am I going to do with it? Oh, well, let me go spend it. I always tell my kids, this is just a rule. You agree or don't agree, it's fine with me. But when my kids work, and they both had jobs over this time, and when they get money, they have to put a certain amount of percentage in their investments. They have to save a certain percentage, and they have to give some away, and they have some for spending, and then they have their own little like cell phone bills, stuff like that they actually like bills or expenses, whatever, right? Or something they might want to invest in, whatever. But they have to divvy it up that way, right? Because I always tell them, like, what we're not going to do is have this whole mindset where money burns a hole in your pocket. I grew up around that, where people would get money and they didn't know how to hold it. It's like, I got to go spend it now. I got to go spend it. No, it ends with me. And that's what generational wealth is. All right, guys, I hope you like this video. If you do, like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see you for day 26. Bye.